And welcome back to coverage here of the Innistrad Championship. Marshall Sutcliffe with Paul Cheon. Thank you so much for coming along. We've switched over to standard. Paul, we've got a bit of a classic matchup for this particular standard format. Two of the most popular decks going against each other. It's Christian Hauck playing mono green aggro, which is a deck we've seen a fair bit of out in the field here. You can take a look at Christian, who's on a 10-2 record, so very good. Very much a top 8 in sight here, but his opponent, Yuuki Ichikawa, the only player in the field with a better record than 10-2. That's 11-1. Izzet Epiphany in the hands of Yuuki. And this is a big step here. If Yuuki can pick up a win, Paul, that's win number 12, and that's a top 8 locked up.
Yeah. Christian still needs to pick up at least 2 more wins here to guarantee a spot into the top 8. But for Yuuki, yes, 1 is the magic number. He still has several more shots, but would love to just take a nice little break, take this one down and relax. Maybe get a little power nap in, as it is quite late over there in Japan.
I don't want to think about it, but when you get this many shots and you miss, you don't forget, right? Like, This is where, this was mine. So definitely Yuuki looking to lock this thing up now. Looks like he's going to start it off on 6 cards though. And you see the opener here for Christian Hauck, not particularly fast, but not too bad. He's got the Ranger class here on 2.
Yeah, he'd love to have a
3.
He'd love to have a play for 3. If he doesn't, of course, he can tick up the Ranger class so that he can start to attack in with the Wolf for 3. But yes, would really want to find something here on turn number 3.
Not quite.
Does not find it.
No, he's got his second copy of Blizzard Brawl, a card that can do excellent work in creature-based matchups, but doesn't perform super well here.
No. Only a couple of targets here going up against Ichikawa's deck. There's 1 copy of Goldspan Dragon and 1 copy of Leer. So Yuuki kind of diversifying his threats a little bit here. He's got 1 Hullbreaker Horror, 1 Goldspan Dragon, 1 Leer, and he's got kind of the Elrond's Epiphany Galvanic Iteration combo as well.
Okay, so he leaves it up to his deck. It's like, hey, you pick what I win with. Whichever one I draw first, I'll play. Wow, that's a disaster here for Christian Hauck. Not only does he not find anything to play, but he didn't even find a land, so the Ulvenwald Oddity stuck in hand. Noasika's Chariot.
Yeah, it's rough, but, at the very least, the way that the hands are shaping up right now, Yuuki currently doesn't have an answer for this wolf, right?
True.
Now, of course, he is really likely to find something with this Behold. But, Christian, if you're not going to draw a land, at the very least, Snakeskin Veil is a very, very good card here in this matchup. One of the, in fact, it's probably the best card in this matchup, as you see all these mono green decks go up to 4 copies of this powerful instant.
Is Christian going to be able to ride this wolf token to victory? Seems like it's asking a lot.
I mean, it's possible. Yuuki needs to find multiple removal spells here, right? To be able to deal with this wolf token. 1 won't do.
And, some of them won't do at all. He has a Spikefield Hazard. That was never good here. Okay, is that in a Braid to go with the Spikefield Hazard? Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
He might need 3 removal spells if he goes for that play.
Right. I mean, he also has access to Iteration of Braid. He did find a Divide by 0, but of course, Divide by 0 can't target a token. Mm-hmm. It can only target spells with converted mana cost 1 or greater. Oh, and look at this aggressive line here from Christian. He's about to put 2 counters.
Yeah. And he's got the Snakeskin Veil to protect this whole situation. And look, he's looking at his hand and he's like, if I'm not going to draw another land, I got to do something.
Oh, well, here's the thing, too. If you're going to draw a land, your hand's pretty much sculpted for the next 2 or 3 turns, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's worth it to just go for it. And if your opponent plays a big creature, well, guess what? You still have 2 Blizzard Brawls in your hand.
Yeah, I like this play a lot. Again, Inscription, also good against other creature decks. Doesn't have that option here. So, hey, let's get some counters.
And Yuuki thinking, okay, you got to have the Snakeskin Veil here, right? But at the same time, you're thinking, well, this is my window. This is the best shot I have at maybe trying to kill this token. So do I go for it?
Look at Yuuki run the numbers in his head, trying to figure out if there's going to be a better opening and what happens if this doesn't work. The truth is, it's not going to work. I don't think that Christian's going to let go of this wolf token regardless. Here we go. Galvanic Iteration goes on the stack for Yuuki.
And I think Christian
This is
does
going
not
to be an
mind.
abject disaster.
Oh, jeez. So this is
yes,
a two-turn clock.
And Christian needs to fire this off, and then his creature is protected, and Yuuki says, yeah, all right. That happens. So both of raids get countered. Now it's 7 power, and there's land number 4. He can get in for what, 12 right here?
This is 12. This will get Yuuki down to 1.
Wow. Snakeskin Veil, everybody.
And keep in mind, Yuuki doesn't have a whole lot of mana available to him next turn. Right now, what Christian is thinking about are the different types of cards that Yuuki can have here to be able to answer what's happening. I think the thing that you would be most concerned about here would be something like double Fading Hope, right? Or iteration into Fading Hope, because that would deal with both the oddity and the token. So,
and that's why you see Christian take the more conservative route of getting this Asika's Chariot down first, and then he'll follow up with the oddity. Oh,
there it is.
That's a Fading Hope.
Well, Christian, I mean, Yuuki didn't have it in his hand, but mindful of the fact that that could be one of the possibilities, choosing to go for the Chariot instead of the oddity and looking to run out the oddity next turn.
Really heads up stuff by Christian. Of course, it's tempting to just play your haste creature and just be like, here, deal with all of this. But he thought about it and he said, no, I think I can take a slightly more conservative route. Yeah, this leaves Yuuki at 5, but I've got an 8/8.
I believe Yuuki is still dead here, right? Because if you go Fading Hope, copy Fading Hope to deal with the 8/8 and the 2/2, I guess you can just wait. But
yeah,
if
it might be a scenario where if Christian goes Ulvenwold Oddity, then you go, yeah, okay, I can't.
Right, but the thing is, even if you bounce the 2 biggest creatures in the Oddity and the 8/8, you just put a counter on the 2/2, right? And that's still an attack for 5. And Yuuki Ichikawa doesn't have an answer for 3 creatures that's in play.
And there's the Ulvenwold Oddity going on the stack, and that's going to be the bad news here for Yuuki Ichikawa, who looked like he may have found a way to wiggle himself free. Is there any way he can divide by 0 into another Fading Hope and have that matter?
Well, you can only divide by 0 the oddity here, right?
And then if he pitches a card, gets another Fading Hope, would he be able to survive then?
He could. He has 2 Fading Hopes in his deck. We actually saw something like this at the World Championship.
Yeah, I mean...
So yeah, as you mentioned, he can go divide by 0 the oddity, loot, find a second Fading Hope, double Fading Hope, and that would allow him to survive.
That's the name of the game here.
Still probably losing the game,
right?
You know, even if he does find that, but yes, that would prevent him from just straight up dying this turn.
Christian's deciding which creatures are actually going to end up heading into the red zone. But Yuuki can divide by 0 either the Chariot or the Oddity, so kind of either way. All right, there's Ranger class. It's going to target one of the cats. And Yuuki needs to take out 3 of these creatures here to not die.
I mean, you can start things off with the Fading Hope to give you the Scry, right? That lets you dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah, you want to do it that way first, right? Yeah, and Yuuki comes to that same conclusion. So the 8/8's going to get faded. If Christian sees top, he's just going to have a panic.
He's going to be like, what?
It went to the bottom. Here's divide by 0. He can discard one of these lands or something and try to find himself the other. Let's see if he hits. No, he didn't hit it.
Hey, look, he played to his outs, right?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, even Spikefield hazarded him up top just to send a little message there. But ultimately, the message was received. Christian Hauck really recognizing nicely that, hey, this wolf is the only thing I have going on. And he put a bunch of counters on it, protected it with Snakeskin Veil, and ultimately it led to a victory there for Christian. Oh man, it's kind of a fun one.
Yeah, no.
So what
That
does
was
Yuuki
good.
do post board here? Like taking a quick look at how he's sideboarding, you got to think he's got more ways to interact with the bigger creatures, right?
And this is the thing. Not only is it really hard to sideboard with the deck to try to figure out what your game plan is going to be against mono green, it's also really hard to sideboard against it too. So if you think your opponent's going to keep in a bunch of fight spells, maybe you just want to go for the combo, right? And try to maybe trim some of your creatures. If you think your opponent is going to maybe trim a lot of their fight spells, then maybe you want to keep a bunch of your creatures, right? So that balance of trying to figure out what number of removal you want to keep into your deck if you're the green player, and also conversely, how many creatures you want to keep in if you're the Izzet deck. I mean, there's a little dance that goes back and forth. So you might see these players, if it goes to a third game, you know, mix and match depending on what they see in the second game.
Christian Hauck looking to even up records against Yuuki Ichikawa. They are late in the day here and scrapping for top 8 slots. Yuuki on the threshold. He needs to win back-to-back games against Christian to lock up a seat in the top 8 tomorrow.
And Yuuki not happy with his hand here. And it's got to be frustrating to mulligan in a scenario like this where you're so close. You're one match away here from locking up a slot into the top 8.
Yeah, you just want to get it done. If he can do so, it would be Yuki's 3rd top finish. He had a really great run a few years ago. And this would signal a really nice comeback for him. Really
nice start here for Yuuki. I mean, you got the disruption turn 2 into the Celestus, so really developing your mana.
Christian Hauck was not happy about that. He sees the Celestus come down. Werewolf Pack Leader off the top of the library, but he doesn't have any more mana, so he's just going to stick with his Sculptor.
You know, I feel like every time we watch Christian play, he doesn't always have these ideal starts, right? That last game too, it was just like, oh, he missed the land drop, he didn't curve out. But then you look at his record and he's 10-2.
He finds wins for sure. And you know, he's playing 2 mono-colored aggressive decks as well.
Right.
You know, in the 2 formats. You see Thundering Rebuke. Given the missed land drop here, Yuki's got to feel pretty good about taking down the Sculptor, though a land off the top is very nice here for Christian, and Yuuki can simply nod his head like, yeah, okay, you found it.
Yeah.
But he has a pass with Counterspell available here as well, and probably will feel compelled to use one on an old growth troll.
Yeah, he's gonna feel really need to find some kind of card draw effect soon, right?
Yeah, he probably wants to keep this land and just pitch it to the Celestus. Like, he just doesn't have anything else going on.
Right. He would really love to trade that land in for a 4-mana card draw effect if he can.
How about Dwari Disruption?
Not bad, given that Christian missed the land drop.
Well, he just went back to backsies, but he's going to throw a Seeker's Chariot on the stack. That's going to get disrupted. But he has a backup plan.
Right.
Hauck's like, yeah, okay, all right. I see you. Oh, there.
We're
now
probably,
he has double fading.
We're probably throwing away one of these fading hopes at this point.
Right.
Keep in mind, if Yuuki does not play anything, he gets to loot again here, as he did not play a spell on his turn.
Costing him a lot of mana, but there we go. Finally found some more action. It's an expressive iteration that he can play next turn.
And that was exactly the type of card that he needed here.
He gets rid of a Braid, keeps the only castable interaction that he's got here with Fading Hope. But given the fact that this Seeker's Chariot just resolved, his hope might be fading rather quickly here if he doesn't find an answer for it. Ooh, Smoldering Egg. This is a nice turn. Smoldering Egg into iteration.
Yeah. Question to see if he's going to go for this Fading Hope main phase. It's interesting, a lot of times after sideboard in this matchup, when the mono green deck sideboards up to Snakeskin Veil, you kind of turn into a tap-out control deck. Because if you have removal spells, you really want to fire it off when you can, when your opponent's tapped out and does not have access to the green mana.
Is it worth it to kill a cat? It takes him off of of crewing the chariot, but only if he has like nothing else, like literally no creatures.
I mean, that might be the thing that you have to bank on here, or what are you going to do? Bounce the Seeker's Chariot?
Yeah, that's very risky with Snakeskin Veil as a potential factor. He's brought in multiple from the board as well. And he happens to have one here. And Ichikawa just throws an Epiphany into the foretell zone and then just crosses his fingers.
Yeah, now we're going to probably see a kicked Inscription of Abundance. That land was big too, because now Christian can kick Inscription of Abundance, kill Smoldering Egg, attack with the Chariot, make a token, and still keep up Snakeskin Veil for the following turn.
Wow. Okay, yeah, that land was pretty good. And so were the 3 in a row that he drew a couple of turns ago.
I guess the question is where he wants to put these counters. He can choose to put the 2 counters on the Seeker's Chariot after the crew, or he can put it on one of his cat tokens.
Is there any way out for Ichikawa at this point, realistically? He's so far behind now.
It is going to be tough. I mean, probably starts with that Alrund's Epiphany, right? That gives you a couple of chump blockers. You know, what if he draws something like a Leer? That could get him back into it, right? As this is Christian's only fight spell at the moment. Hullbreaker Horror is also an extremely powerful card, right? That's a card that really shines in the green matchup, so if you can draw that and play it.
All right, well, he's going to take a nice big hit here down to 18. Let's see what he draws for the turn. Spikefield Hazard's not really yet, but as you mentioned, he does have the Alrund's Epiphany. It was foretold, so he can pay for it here.
So Christian looks like he made a small mistake there. A mistake that I've made, admittedly, when playing this deck. When you cast Inscription of Abundance, there are 3 modes on that card, and when you kick it, you can use all 3 modes.
Oh, did he just not pick the middle?
He did not gain life.
He thought it was
the Inscription.
Abundance Command. He's which 2 do I want?
Which 2 of the 3? Yeah.
Oh, you get them all. All right, the Celestis is going to trigger over on Christian's turn, and yeah, it's just another land here for Ichikawa. He has bought himself a bit of time with these 2 bird tokens, but as you mentioned, he's going to need to find a heavy hitter and quickly.
Yeah.
Lest he get ran over.
An extra Inscription is kind of just a nice insurance policy here for Christian, as he knows now he has access to a way to kill one of those problematic large creatures that Yuuki could have to come back. One thing to note, though, is that there is a Hall of Storm Giants on the battlefield.
Okay.
That Yuuki can choose to block with here. So actually, I mean, that Inscription was really big, right? Because you can just, if Yuuki taps out, you can put counters onto the Chariot to just,
and it'll just run it over.
Eat the Hall of Storm Giants, and then Snakeskin Veil, the Fading Hope, that Yuuki will likely cast in response to this Inscription.
Wow. Talk about having it all here for Christian Hauck. And Ichikawa says, I could just chump with the bird on second thought. Maybe. I'll throw it in.
I mean, he's pretty behind here. I think he might just need to go, hey, look, you already cast 1 Inscription. If you got a Snakeskin Veil to trade, I'm okay with that.
Right.
Oh, and look, he's also trying to play around the Inscription here. So he's going for the double block here. So if Christian just goes for the Inscription, although Christian can kind of, if he kicks here, he can have the 2/2 fight the bird and then put 2 counters on the Chariot. So it's still kind of a blowout here.
Yeah, the double block against Inscription doesn't really do what you need it to do. But he does it anyway. And now we're going to see a good old-fashioned blowout here, Paul.
Well, see, the thing is, Yuki's thinking, well, that's what he's going to do, right? He's gonna try to fight the 2/2.
And he
then
thinks
Yuki's gonna bounce the 2/2 in response, and it's not gonna work because of the Snakeskin Veil.
Yeah, it's so brutal because this is what Yuuki wants to happen, right? He's like, hey, I'm gonna force you to do this, and then Yuuki can, but he's kind of going, oh, I don't really like this.
Yeah, this is not great. However you do it,
he's gonna actually go for the Chariot here.
I mean. Yeah, this is...
Boom.
Oh, God, yeah.
Snakes, and even Yuuki, look at that look. He's like, oh, no. Oh, just a disaster for Yuuki Ichikawa. There was really no way for him to play around any of that.
Yeah.
And he just keeps on drawing land after land. Okay, hey, there's some business.
There is some bit, I mean, but there's just so much damage here from Christian's side, right? You cast the Windfall, then you have access to 5 mana. I suppose Burn Down the House will kill the tokens, but I mean, you're still dealing with a 9/9 Chariot here that Christian can still crew with the Faceless Haven that he has in play.
Yeah, he's going to need to find a Hullbreaker Horror very quickly here. Because that can actually, you know, keep the Chariot off balance. It can start taking care of the cat tokens. It could just block.
Let's see, what are we looking at? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. I mean, there is a world where, I mean, because Yuki is not going to die this turn, right? So if he can Windfall into the combo,
oh, okay,
right, and then he's going to need a little more than just the combo. But if you can Windfall into the combo and then find a little bit more, that would be his out.
How hard could it be? Here we go. Unexpected Windfall. Let's see what he finds.
No, that's not it, though. That's not it.
Oh, man. This has just not gone well for Yuuki Ichikawa. Christian Hauck just seems to have everything at the right time. The Snakeskin Veils have just been devastating, and another land off the top. He still has the Celestis going, but now he's facing down very easy lethal, and Christian knows, wow, that's a lot of lands for Yuuki. Just no way out here. At least it wasn't close. You know, this is not one of those ones where you're like, if I would have just played something, it's just like, no, you were never winning this.
No,
like, you did not have the tools to get the job done here, so don't even, you know, trick yourself. It's just all lands. Sorry.
I look, Yuuki did everything he could.
Yes.
Right? You know, while trying to play around the types of cards that Christian could have. But Christian had everything this game.
Yeah,
right?
Had it all.
He had the Veils, he had the multiple inscriptions, and you know, at that point, you just shake your opponent's hand and you're like, all right, well, you know, still got a few more chances here.
A couple more shots at this thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's going to be good game there from Yuuki Ichikawa, and Christian Hauck is going to improve to 11-2 and bring himself just one step away from guaranteed top 8.